A teenager in North Korea does not need to fire a weapon, rob a bank, or attack anyone to become a problem for the state. Sometimes, the danger starts with a song, a drama, a phone call, a haircut, a Bible, a trip to another city, or one careless sentence about the leadership. That is what makes North Korea's craziest laws so unsettling. They are not only about crime, they are about control. So the real question is not just what Pyongyang bans, it is what Pyongyang is afraid people might see, say, believe, and imagine. If you want North Korea, South Korea, and the Korean Peninsula explained with clearer facts and less viral myth, subscribe to Korea Radar. This channel separates what is documented from what is exaggerated. And with North Korea, that difference matters because bad information can turn serious human issues into cheap entertainment. Picture a normal day. Someone wakes up, checks a phone, walks to school, hears a song, visits a market, talks with a neighbor, and maybe dreams of moving to a better city. In many countries, that is daily life. In North Korea, each of those actions can enter a political system. The phone is not just a phone. The song is not just music. The neighbor is not just a neighbor. The city is not just a place to live. The state cares about all of it because every uncontrolled action can become an uncontrolled thought. And that is the open loop of this video. The craziest laws in North Korea only make sense when you stop treating them as random, strange rules and start seeing them as a system built to protect political power. The first category is information. This is where North Korea's legal control becomes most obvious. Foreign media is not treated like harmless entertainment. South Korean dramas, foreign films, outside music, and unofficial digital files can become political threats. Human rights reporting has described severe punishment for watching or distributing foreign media, especially content from South Korea. That sounds extreme to an outside viewer, but from Pyongyang's perspective, South Korean culture is not just culture, it is comparison. A drama can show Seoul apartments. A music video can show youth culture. A film can show people speaking freely. A phone clip can show streets, shops, fashion, food, and relationships that do not fit the official story. And once people compare, they may start asking questions. Why does the South look different? Why do people there speak differently? Why do they have more consumer choice? Why are young people allowed to joke, criticize, and move through public life in ways that seem impossible in the North? This is why information becomes a security issue. You may be thinking, can a song really scare a government? The answer is yes, when the government depends on controlling the emotional world of its citizens. A missile threatens borders. A drama threatens belief. That is the part most viral videos miss. North Korea's media laws are not crazy because officials randomly dislike music. They are strict because outside media opens a window, and a window is dangerous when a system is built around walls. This leads to the second category, appearance and language. North Korea has been widely discussed online for claims about approved hairstyles, banned jeans, clothing controls, and youth fashion. Some of those viral claims are exaggerated. For example, the famous claim that there are only a fixed number of approved hairstyles should be handled carefully. It has been repeated often, but it is not as solid as many videos make it sound. But do not let the myth distract from the real issue. Appearance control exists because appearance can signal foreign influence. Clothing is identity. Hair is identity. Language is identity. Slang is identity. And in North Korea, identity is political. Reports and research on recent cultural control laws show that Pyongyang has tried to limit foreign cultural influence, especially among young people. South Korean speech patterns, fashion styles, and media habits are not treated as casual trends. They are treated as signs of ideological contamination. That is the strange logic. A hairstyle is not just a hairstyle if the stakes it came from Seoul. A phrase is not just a phrase if it sounds South Korean. A pair of jeans is not just clothing if it signals outside culture. While South Korean youth culture spreads globally through K-pop, dramas, beauty trends, and online platforms, North Korea tries to control the cultural border inside people's daily habits. One side exports culture, the other side polices it. That contrast is powerful, and it fits the larger Korea Radar question. How can one peninsula produce two systems so different that even fashion becomes political? But appearance is only the surface. The deeper control is movement. In many countries, moving from one city to another is stressful because of money, work, rent, or family. In North Korea, movement can also require permission. Human rights reporting consistently describes heavy restrictions on freedom of movement, both inside the country and across its borders. Pyongyang is not simply a capital city anyone can freely move into. Access to major areas, internal travel, and border regions can depend on permission, status, assignment, and political trust. Why does this matter? Because movement creates knowledge. If people can move freely, they can compare regions, they can see inequality, they can build networks, they can trade information, they can discover that the official picture of the country does not match every local reality. Movement is not just physical, it is informational. That is why controlling movement helps control the story. For foreigners, the same logic appears in tourism. Independent travel is heavily restricted. Visitors are usually guided, monitored, and limited in what they can see, photograph, and access. This does not mean every guide should be treated as a cartoon villain. That would be lazy. Many people working in tourism are also operating inside the same system of pressure. But the structure is clear. The foreign visitor is not allowed to see North Korea freely. The state presents a selected version. The visitor is moved through approved routes, approved sites, approved narratives, and approved images. That tells us something important. North Korea does not only control what citizens see of the outside world, it also controls what the outside world sees of North Korea. If you are still watching, you can already see why this topic is bigger than weird laws. Subscribe to Korea Radar if you want serious analysis of how law, propaganda, and daily life connect across the Korean peninsula. Now we move to loyalty. This is one of the most sensitive parts of North Korean law and daily life. Respect for the ruling leadership is not simply a cultural expectation. It is enforced through political rules, public behavior, education, media, and punishment. Criticism of the leadership, disrespect towards state symbols, or actions seen as insulting the ruling family can be treated as serious political offenses. This is where ordinary behavior becomes dangerous. A careless joke, a damaged image, a private comment, a public mistake, a rumor, a report from someone nearby. In open societies, people insult politicians every day. They argue online, they mock presidents, they criticize parties, they publish cartoons, they protest outside government buildings. In North Korea, the leadership is not treated like normal politics. The leadership is placed at the center of the state's legitimacy. That means disrespect is not framed as ordinary criticism. It can be framed as disloyalty to the system itself. This is the legal architecture of fear. You do not only police what people do, you police what they appear to respect. That is a different kind of power. It reaches into homes, schools, offices, public spaces, and private conversations. It also creates a society where people may perform loyalty even when no one knows what they truly think. And that is important. We should never assume that public behavior equals private belief. People living under pressure often learn how to survive. They learn what to say, when to stay silent, what not to repeat, and how to avoid risk. That does not make them foolish. It means the cost of honesty is high. The next category is religion and private belief. North Korea officially claims rights on paper, but outside religious freedom reporting describes some of the world's most severe restrictions on unauthorized religious practice. People suspected of religious activity, especially activity outside state-approved structures, can face serious consequences. Again, the logic is not random. Religion can create loyalty beyond the state. It gives people a moral authority that does not come from the ruling party. It builds private networks. It creates identity outside official ideology. For a government that wants political loyalty to be total, that is a threat. This is why religious material, private worship, and unauthorized religious contact are treated with deep suspicion. The issue is not only belief, it is independent loyalty, and that is the key word: independent. Independent media, independent movement, independent worship, independent speech, independent identity. These are the things North Korea's strictest laws try to limit. Now look at foreign contact, international calls, outside communication, cross-border information, foreign phones, and unsupervised contact with outsiders are highly sensitive. North Korea's isolation is not simply geographic, it is legal and informational. For ordinary citizens, contact with the outside world can create risk. For foreigners, the legal risk is also serious. Official travel advisories from several governments warn that visitors can face arrest, long detention, or arbitrary treatment if they violate local rules or are accused of doing so. That matters because North Korea does not operate with the same legal expectations many visitors may assume. A tourist may think a photo is harmless. The state may treat it as illegal. A visitor may think a joke is private. The system may treat it as political. A traveler may think a restricted floor or building is unimportant. The authorities may treat access as a security issue. This does not mean every story online is true. It means the legal environment is unpredictable and highly controlled. That is why Korea Radar must be careful. There are confirmed patterns. There are strong human rights findings. There are official travel warnings. There are defector testimonies. There are also viral myths. A serious video must separate them. The 28 hairstyle claim, handle cautiously. Claims about specific punishments, verify before stating. Tourist stories, do not turn one case into universal law. Defector testimony, valuable, but not the same as a nationwide survey. Official North Korean claims, treat as official claims, not neutral fact. That discipline is what builds trust. Now we can close the open loop. The craziest laws in North Korea are not random. They are connected. Media laws control what people see. Appearance rules control what people signal. Movement restrictions control where people go. Leadership respect rules control what people can say. Religious restrictions control what people can believe. Tourism rules control what outsiders can witness. Foreign contact rules control what information enters and leaves. Together, they form a system. The goal is not only to punish crime. The goal is to manage reality. That is why South Korea matters so much in this story. South Korea is not just another foreign country in North Korean political thinking. It is the other Korean system. It speaks the same language, shares the same historical roots, and presents a radically different version of Korean life. So South Korean media is especially sensitive. South Korean slang is especially sensitive. South Korean fashion is especially sensitive. South Korean economic images are especially sensitive because they do not just show the outside world, they show another Korea. And that is the deepest threat. If a North Korean watches American media, it may look foreign. If they watch South Korean media, it may look possible. That is why the law becomes a wall, not only a wall at the border, a wall around imagination. North Korea's strictest rules are designed to stop people from comparing too freely, moving too freely, speaking too freely, believing too privately, or seeing too much of the alternative Korean future across the DMZ. That is the real story behind the title. The laws are shocking, but the system behind them is more important. Because when a government needs to control songs, phones, hair, language, travel, faith, and jokes, it tells you something about what that government fears. Not only invasion, not only sanctions, not only foreign armies, it fears comparison. It fears independent thought. It fears South Korea's image entering daily life. And it fears ordinary people discovering that the world is larger than the version they were given. So here are the three things most people miss. First, North Korea's craziest laws are not isolated oddities. They are part of a broader system of political and social control. Second, many viral claims about North Korean laws mix truth with exaggeration. The credible approach is to separate documented restrictions, human rights reporting, tourist rules, defector testimony, and rumor. Third, the most sensitive laws are often about information, because information creates comparison. And on the Korean Peninsula, comparison is political. Write your view in the comments. Which form of control matters most in North Korea? Information, movement, religion, loyalty, or contact with South Korea? And subscribe to Korea Radar if you want clear analysis on North Korea, South Korea, and East Asia without propaganda or cheap stereotypes. Because in North Korea, the law does not only tell people what they cannot do. It tries to tell them what they are allowed to imagine.